You act like you're insane. Cortisol levels to the roof, inflame. Kids these days so shameless. Selling our real friends for a paycheck. I didn't teach them no home training. Wanna be me so bad, but they failing. And you should have a name out your mouth. I see how it all turned out. When you try to use my name for clout, keep on going. Any song you can talk about. Throwing all the good vibes out the window. So now you come hold my cup. A squirrel is acting up. Seriously though, do you think it's a medical condition? He's really acting up. Maybe it's a demon. She really acting up. They ain't right. Step to the plate though. I'll take a challenger. I ain't scared of no low life scavenger. I should warn you though, if you haven't heard, I know Colleen, ukulele ballager. Shots been fired. You wanna tell that? Say it to my face though. Now behind my back, won't be long till you share it in a group chat. And when I call you up, you're gonna backtrack. And you should have a name out your mouth. I see how it all turned out. When you try to use my name for clout, keep on going. Any song you could talk about. Throwing all the good vibes out the window. Seem so low, so now you come hold my cup. Please. A squirrel is acting up. Seriously though, do you think it's a medical condition? He's really acting up. Maybe it's a demon. She really acting up. They ain't right.
Welcome to BJ Investigates Podcast, a thing I just created and definitely planning on doing again. Let me fix my mic. Okay, so the purpose of this podcast is to be a little bit, I don't know where to look really, is to be a little bit behind the scenes, a little bit more up close and personal. And basically when we conceptualize this podcast, this is my editor, Ethan, also my friend, Ethan, and he edits pretty much all the BJ Investigates videos. And what ends up happening is we do a video, we make a video, and then we're in the editing process, and he finds all kind of stuff that never really makes it into the video. Also, there's always more and more things that I could be talking about on BJ Investigates, but as you know, it is a constant battle not to make a 9.5 hour long video. So generally the focus, the point, the purpose of this podcast is to kind of just talk a little bit more about some of the topics that I discuss on BJ Investigates, put in some of that, later found stuff that we're not able to sort of force in and all that. But today we thought we wanted to go live, but apparently even if you have 180,000 subscribers on YouTube, you still got to request to be able to have live permissions 24 hours in advance. Wish I would have known that. I would have done that yesterday, but I did not. So in the future, you can expect that these will mostly be live streams, and we're looking forward to, I don't know, what's the word? Interacting with y'all in the chat. I do have another channel, That Surprise Witness, where I do go live quite often. So make sure you're subscribed over there too. And I know at least about 100,000 y'all are not. So get to it. But anyway, so today's video is going to be special for two reasons. One, it ain't live, clearly. And number two, it's a little bit more of a current event going on. And we're going to talk about a video that I actually made way in the past. And that is, I think, the first or second most viewed video on this channel. It's about Dan Schneider. This brand new docu-series just came out about Dan Schneider, Nickelodeon, all this other stuff with those kids, with those people over there. And I actually have a whole entire reaction and commentary to that documentary coming out on That Surprise Witness. But today I thought we could take a trip down memory lane and just revisit this Dan Schneider video that I did make, I think close to 2 years ago. I don't know. I'll link it also down below. If you haven't seen it yet, you may go look at it. But I just thought we could roll back through it and see what I remember about making this video. It's, like I said, quite a while ago.
I put it on here, but this screenshot is
oh, girl.
crazy. Go back.
Today my special guest is the...
All right, ready? Okay.
Amanda, please.
Today my special guest is the executive producer of The Amanda Show, Dan Schneider.
Thank you to Nickelodeon. Thank you to Dan Schneider. Dan, we love you. Thank you so much, dude.
Thank you, Nickelodeon. Thank you, Dan Schneider.
It's hard to put into words what Dan has done for all of us.
I want to thank Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider.
He's the
So, one thing off the
I
bat.
can have this one.
Yes, the power.
I have this, and you'll have the, yeah.
One thing off the bat is now we've come to know that Drake Bell had been abused for years at the time he went to that Dan Schneider award acceptance. And a lot of people have asked, why would Drake Bell and them and all these people show up and all these kids show up? Well, Drake Bell has come out and said Dan Schneider never did anything untoward to him. It was actually this other guy, Brian Peck. But always did find it to be very interesting, those kids all showing up doing all that, thanking Dan Schneider. And when was that, 2016, 18? Got Keenan here.
Guy behind some of the greatest shows on Nickelodeon. His name is Dan Schneider.
If you watch Dan Schneider's work, it is completely impossible to escape.
Did they mention Jeanette McCurdy at all last night? Okay. I must have been downstairs when they mentioned her.
They did. Oh, look at this nice pause. The notion of they mentioned her, and they mentioned specifically she did not show up to that awards acceptance. And she wrote a book where she kind of exposes Dan. Yeah, they mentioned that.
Was she in the documentary?
No.
No, she didn't.
But she did do a very extensive press run.
Yeah,
when her book came out and talked about the abuse on the set and that her mother was complicit, according to her.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to get your whole big toe in your mouth? Check this out.
I think it was just
She hasn't said a word about Dan Schneider.
no, because she's got her A-list celebritas. Another thing though, like kind of like if I were to make this video again, I think I would probably put like fewer examples or just like blur it out because I don't really like looking at it either. Like, I don't want to see all these feet. Feet everywhere.
Tori, please pour ketchup all over your feet.
I still say this is not performing.
This is why I'm in Hollywood.
Yeah. Eat your cereal, kids.
Hey, Dan Schneider, look what you've done to me.
I remember those vines.
I didn't have a Vine. You know which Vine I remember the most? That Milk and Cereals one. Oh God, what's the one? It's like, no, I am a. I don't remember it now. It's Nicholas. Hello, my name is Nicholas, and this is ridiculous.
I don't know that.
Dan Schneider. Boom. He is responsible for the prolific careers of a bunch of people, bunch of shows that we all have come to know and love, from millennials all the way to Gen Z and everybody above, below, and in between. If you are alive right now, you probably are familiar with something that Dan Schneider. They also used a clip from this video in the documentary of me saying it is impossible to escape feet or something like that as created. He's responsible for the careers of Amanda Bynes, Josh Peck, Jamie Lynn Spears, Miranda Cosgrove, Jeanette McCurdy, and even Ariana Grande. Many more, but that's just to name a few. There were some seriously frightening and worrisome things going on at Nickelodeon Studios during that heyday with his company Schneider's Bakery. It seems as though Nickelodeon and everyone involved seem to try to sweep under the rug a lot of strange and worrisome behaviors that we're going to get into today. Notebooks.
Yes, and the pink one.
Now, Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider have been exposed a million times over by many people on YouTube.
I have a new video for you guys because it's time to talk about this monster, Dan Schneider.
Could they have
I feel like
prevented
they
this?
just used
And
these
if so,
clips from.
why did
It does feel a bit similar. It feels a bit derivative.
they?
If you don't understand why the giant foot
Love her.
plays such a big part in this, you will in a minute.
Hidden behind that orange foot is some disgusting, deplorable things.
You have a foot fetish, no judgment here, that's all you. But it's different when you put that foot fetish in a children's TV show. And that's when it becomes a problem.
All his colleagues around him seem to be.
Obscure Nick has been going off on Twitter for like the whole week, maybe more. Just bunch of threads. Y'all go follow.
Held accountable, but he doesn't.
Look at the Creep Club.
Oh, there we go. So
We had did all their investigation for them.
Seem to be held accountable.
And there was another actress called Alexa Nicholas. She went on Instagram Live.
And my mom was like, can you please get Dan? Get Dan here immediately. Get the producers here immediately. Someone needs to figure out what just happened to my daughter. So then finally Dan walks in. And Dan has not helped the entire time. And I don't feel comfortable going into details about what I've seen with Dan or like what Dan is.
My
mom put me in acting. Like, it wasn't my choice. I was 6. I had to support my family. So it wasn't like I was, came out of the womb like I'm tap dancing and like ready to go or something. It's the thing that I feel the most shame of in my entire life. I do not like any of the acting work that I have.
One thing that I was thinking when I was watching that docuseries last night was this has to be how the Jackass crew feels.
rewatching their.
Yeah, like they were put up to do, like they were tortured, humiliated, embarrassed, like scared, all that, traumatized. But like they were, most of them were technically adults at the time. So, I mean, they can't even hide behind the like, oh, my parents signed me up, or I mean, I'm not saying it's hiding behind. I'm just saying
that's not like, and
they probably feel the same.
I would say that probably.
At least some of them.
Maybe
because
not
they're
Steve-O.
saying like, yeah, I mean, that man, does he even have feelings? Who knows? But Bam won't answer his calls. But it's like when I was listening to the people in the docuseries talking about it, they were like, it was embarrassing. You know, I was going through puberty and I didn't like my body being exposed like that with these little leotards and things. And it was kind of like they were saying like when they look back on it, it's disgusting and humiliating.
It'd be mortifying.
Yeah.
I would be mortified. And especially being like 13, 14, 15. Yeah. Like maybe if I was really young, I'd be too young to even really know what's going on. But like that age.
And she said it, Jeanette, she's like, is the most mortifying thing or the most humiliating thing or shameful or whatever she just said that I ever did.
Like any of the projects that I've been a part of as an actor. And even talking about it, honestly, my heart starts to race and like I feel like I almost could cry.
So now, according to a website called Looper.com, for years, prolific producer Dan Schneider occupied a prominent place in the world of children's television, as we've just discussed. Throughout the late 90s and early 2000s, Dan and his Schneider Bakery banner oversaw numerous hit shows on Nickelodeon, including All That, Kenan and Kel, Drake and Josh, and iCarly. At the height of Dan's fame, he was likened to fellow TV titan Norman Lear by the New York Times. That was weird. A comparison they left that completely out of the documentary.
I could pull it up, but yeah, we can.
And that should indicate just how respected he was at that point in time.
I don't like Dan.
So now let's get into some of the weird stuff that this man is responsible for.
The fact they left that out of the documentary, though, makes me feel like it was a little bit of a cover in some ways.
I feel like it was.
But, I mean, we don't have to get too deep into it.
I feel like it was them scapegoating the guys who already have a ruined reputation.
Who are already in your video from 2 years ago.
You'll see on That Surprise Witness my thoughts on it. But basically that. Like, all these grown people were willingly participating in writing scripts, writing whatever they were writing, whatever it's called, set, whatever it is, and designing these costumes, sewing these costumes, doing the makeup, doing the prosthetics, and it's all just only Dan Schneider's fault. Somebody had a gun to your head, made you put a large fake nose on a black child.
Also, the thing about Penelope Taint, when they like the person asked like, "Oh, does this mean something?"
From Nickelodeon.
Right.
It was the Nickelodeon executive. And for me, it's just giving them plausible deniability.
Right. Because it's like, okay, like they asked, they clearly knew what it meant. And then they just took Dan's word for it. I was like, oh yeah, no, it means tainted. Like, even if it did mean tainted, it has a double meaning. That's why he used it.
That, and like we make videos, right? Like there's been stuff we've probably wanted to put in before.
Good double entendre.
And it's like, oh man, but what if someone takes it as this other way? Like we don't
We
don't want to put that out there like that. So let's name her something different.
That too. Yeah.
Like,
but we also know when we're intentionally doing something that means two things at once.
Well, we're also not depraved and wouldn't go forward with it.
Well, like something like that. No.
Taint.
But it's like we know what the editing process is like. We know what people.
Nickelodeon
you're
could have made that call.
meticulously going through everything, so they know. They know what's going on.
They put it in there.
I don't know.
Nickelodeon knew it could have meant that. Then Dan Schneider came and said, "No, it means whatever
Tainted.
else." Mm-hmm. Then they went with it, and then miraculously, someone told that story on the docuseries.
I don't know. It just smells.
It kind of like it. Speaking of ambiguity, one way to take it is, oh, Nickelodeon took Dan Schneider's word for it. Another way to take it is Nickelodeon
was willing to look the other way, and
they knew. They said it.
They probably. I mean, we could go off in the weeds here, but yeah. Maybe
we need a second after dark podcast to say what we really think.
Oh
somewhere.
Man, no, I mean we can say what we really think. I don't care. I think it's definitely pretty obvious what we think.
That it was a funded that someone with high interest in getting the heat off of them funded this documentary, perhaps.
Maybe, perhaps,
or
a little.
Help.
Maybe there's a tiny sliver of that too. It could be not fully the picture.
What I will say is, it's a good documentary. I liked it, and I thought they did a great job in the documentary. I'm not even saying anything about the people that made the documentary.
No, I thought it was very well made. The editing was very well done. Loved the TVs, loved the interview shots.
It felt so familiar somehow.
It looked great. It looked like a very high budget investigation, I would say.
So great job on them. I mean, I'm not even necessarily saying it was for sure somehow these people. They might have just been really looking for the story, and then everybody else got their story straight. It's all Dan Schneider and Brian Peck's fault and that handy guy. I'm not convinced. Y'all told me that y'all knew they were being creepy to kids and you did nothing. That's what I heard.
Here, let's continue this.
And first of all, we cannot ignore the feet.
Huh?
That's the part. That might not be.
So basically what happened is a few of us started getting a little older, and we would revisit some of Dan Schneider's shows, like on Nick at Night or just reruns or whatever. And we started thinking this very familiar feeling across all of us, what the fuck were we watching?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes!
After this, we massage my feet.
No, gross. Get in between the toes.
It was weird.
She's a star, so she gets a big, she gets a big spitball shooter thing. I want, hey.
I remember being grossed out.
Oh, hey, wait, take a close up of this.
I remember thinking this was sick.
Can you get a close up of this one?
No. You go, boy.
Amanda, demonstrate. Spitball or 5,000.
You say there's the toilet paper and you get a gallon of fresh spit, and then you're sitting here.
Isn't it also giving what's his name, Lou Pearlman, following them around with these cameras?
It kind of feels like it's let me get this on camera just to have this on you kind of thing too.
Yeah.
Or remember that time I had the camera out filming you with that big yellow thing in your face? I don't know.
Demonstrating. And just a gallon of spit is gross anyway.
The little part in this thing.
What do you think of that explanation?
Oh, it was very explanatory.
Specifically the feet. It is absolutely impossible to escape the concept and image of children's feet.
Would you smell my foot and tell me what you think?
Yes, that was it.
I dare you to spend one day saying yes.
Yeah, I'll smell your foot.
Thank you.
It's just feet everywhere, feet all around.
I have a weird talent.
What's your talent?
Okay, I'll show you. Can't believe I'm doing this.
It even went so far as to permeate onto Nickelodeon's actual logo for some time, in the late 90s. That's another thing. Nickelodeon could try and deny to all they want why they had a foot logo.
Right.
Dan Schneider made them do that too. 90s, early 2000s, a big foot. It was just feet everywhere. And at the time as a child, I think I probably just thought it was funny or whatever. But when some of these fans, reporters, journalists started to look back at these shows with a little bit of perspective, they started to notice that it wasn't just feet being featured on the shows, but Dan Schneider himself, from his public original Twitter account, was soliciting pictures of children's feet from the audience.
Today,
they didn't put this in.
They didn't put any tweets in. Do you know Ariana Grande doesn't have a Twitter? And that Dan Schneider's last tweet has her tagged in it or something. It's some picture of them from 2019. But that was around the time that she deleted her Twitter. I'm not saying it's related. I just noticed that today.
So what's the possibility is that she deleted it so he would stop tagging her on Twitter?
Or that she had some weird tweets from way back, because like they've probably had Twitter since like 2009 or whatever, like back when, I know that's when I first got on it. Like I feel like, I don't know, that's just my conspiracy theory. I don't know. Allegedly, things to think about. Yeah.
From Nickelodeon fans on Twitter, it's just weird. What is his weird obsession with children's feet? Like, sure, put it in your shows. That's kind of weird. Force Ariana Grande to have her feet stuck in a thing so you can tickle them or lick them or whatever weird you did on that episode. I don't know. So basically, make your own decision up about the feet. To me, I think it's weird, and us over here at BJ Investigates thinks it's weird. As if that's not weird enough, we could end the episode there because it's really weird that the man was asking children for pictures of their naked feet with writing on the bottom of it. It's just very weird, Daniel. It's a really weird thing to do. But then the next thing that they actually did that I think is really strange was Dan would host these recruiting parties for children.
He would have pool parties and invite all the kids over and be like, oh, we'll just take care of the kids. No adults need to come over. So he was having pool parties with these kids that were on the show without any kind of adult supervision going on. One of my friends that used to work on a couple of the shows they did, I mean, this goes back to the mid-early 90s, and he would spend extremely large amounts of time alone with the kids in their dressing rooms without any adult supervision in there either. He was just he's just a sick dude, and people have known about this in the industry for a long time. This isn't anything that's new to people within there, and it's not anything new to Nickelodeon either. I don't know why Nickelodeon continues to put up with this guy.
So in 1997, I was discovered in a mall, and eventually I got a manager and an agent. And then as I started growing in my career, in 2007, my agent contacted me and my family about possibly getting a good Nickelodeon gig. I personally, at the time, I watched a ton of Nickelodeon, and I was very immersed in that lifestyle, so I wanted to pursue it. My mom, and she was my manager at the time, she had some reservations about it. She didn't really want me being exposed like that, especially because in the audition call listing, they did mention, like, wear something cute, like wear spaghetti straps or a skirt or, whatever. And my mom, when she told me later on that whenever she saw things like that, she thought that it was a little uncomfortable for people to be telling kids what to wear.
How old were you at the time?
I was probably around 15, 14 years old. And I was actually considered older at the time for what they were looking for. So in 2007, my agent called about the Nickelodeon show. It was for Zoe 101, but because that show, I think, was getting canceled at the time.
It looks like the Spears family is growing again, but this time it's not Britney Spears who's expecting. It's her 16-year-old little sister, Jamie Lynn.
Nickelodeon did put out a carefully worded statement saying, quote, "We respect Jamie Lynn's decision to take responsibility in this sensitive and personal situation. Our primary concern right now is for Jamie Lynn's well-being, not our show, Zoe 101.
They were looking just for anything, and then Dan Schneider's next show was iCarly. So they were looking for, extras or possibly like a lead type of role.
And why do they have the kids with their clothes on? Even the boys too, like that. There was that sketch or what, that on-air dare where they had the kid and the dogs was licking peanut butter off of him.
Yeah.
Which ew, but for what reason he couldn't have had a shirt on?
I watched a whole documentary about that one kid, and
who?
I forget his name. Gibby
Brian?
Or something.
Oh, him.
Yeah. Oh, it was messed up. I feel bad. It was messed up. I feel bad for the kid. I don't know, but I forget. It was so long ago. But yeah.
Of course, my agent jumped on that opportunity, and we flew out to LA for this audition. And when we got there, it was probably like 200 kids, and then these random agents hand-selected specific kids that they liked or, showed some charisma. And then once about 40 kids were selected, we were then told to take off our shoes and that we were each going to go into a room to show the producer, who was Dan Schneider, the tape to see who we would want on the show. And of course, we always ask, like, what would you like us to be doing once we're in there? My agent told me, you got to just take off your shoes, just like run around in front of the camera, talk about how much you love being barefoot. And at the time, even, it was like, okay, that's weird, but it didn't think anything of it because I was still young. Then when I saw other kids doing it, like their parents were like, take your shoes off, like we're going in, like this is it, this is your thing. It was all the kids that were wearing like the short shorts, like the, spaghetti strap tank tops, things that were a little more open and less reserved. And then once we got into the last room before my audition happened, my mom kind of looked around and was like, this is wrong. There's just something really wrong about this. And at the time, I was really upset because I wanted to do this.
The new cast started with a 2-week comedy boot camp that Schneider held with the help of the team that included the show's dialogue coach, Ryan Peck.
Him. And at the parties, the children would be wearing bathing suits. It would be minimally supervised. And to listen to some children who describe these parties, they would say their parents were not even invited.
Interestingly enough, most of the kids got discovered by the pool. And I believe it was Megan Fox and Hillary Duff was another one who got discovered there at the pool.
And the parents were so desperate to have their children be famous for whatever reason. I can't relate. You couldn't have gone to anywhere where there's clothes. I don't know. So here come big old Dan Schneider surrounded by a posse of teeny boppers, all of them hanging all over the man. It's really weird.
So thank you for making my life great and just making every day so freaking fun! Kids Choice Awards 24 days!
Never misses the opportunity. March 29th, 2018, Nickelodeon and Schneider's Bakery, which is Dan's company, finally part ways. So I guess allegations had gotten so bad or whatever. Exclusive, updated. Nickelodeon has ended its long relationship with one of its most prolific creators, Dan Schneider. Probably for the best considering the feet thing alone. Here's a quote. Following many conversations together about next directions and future opportunities, Nickelodeon and our longtime creative partner Dan Schneider, Schneider's Bakery, have agreed to not extend the current deal. Nickelodeon and Schneider said in a joint statement to Deadline the following. Since several Schneider's Bakery projects are wrapping up, both sides agreed that this is a natural time for Nickelodeon and Schneider's Bakery to pursue other opportunities and projects. This is kind of weird to me considering he made his whole career on Nickelodeon. I don't know where he thought he was about to go. I mean, I think everything he ever did was on Nickelodeon. Didn't he go to Disney? So it's very strange that it would be natural for him to leave this network whenever he made his career on the network. Maybe it had something to do with something else, not maybe natural. Dan and his... One of them, I think Brian Peck ended up going... No, Dan Schneider. It's a Dan Schneider show. He went and did one on Disney after Nickelodeon called Henry Danger. Mm-hmm. Guess who's on Henry Danger, at least for some cameo role?
Who?
Albert Minero Jr., the program director of Aura and Lima's friend.
We'll have to find that soon.
Worked on Henry Danger. Anyway. Schneider's Bakery team have created a string of lasting, groundbreaking hits over the years, including, we've already discussed this, iCarly, Victorious, and the current #1 hit show on Nickelodeon, Henry Danger. The statement continued. We thank Dan and his Schneider's Bakery producers, executives, and social media team for their immeasurable contributions to Nickelodeon, and we wish them the best in their future endeavors. And Dan and Schneider's Bakery are proud of the work they did together with Nickelodeon and will always remain big fans of the network. The decision comes as Nickelodeon has opted to cancel Schneider's latest series, Game Shakers, after 3 seasons. They go on to say, among other things, I hear there had been multiple complaints of abusive behavior against Schneider filed by members of his staff.
What's going on back here by the robot?
That was the lawsuit.
Let's see what's happening back. Oh no! I haven't got my costume on yet. Are we close to bowling? Sorry, caught Jerry in a bad moment there. How much attention does Jeanette need?
I was trying to what?
What did the young shrimp say when his mom said he wants charity of his toy?
Try it again, but more cat-like.
Okay.
For years, Schneider had been under a cloud of suspicion over the treatment of some younger stars of his shows. Among the things that have raised eyebrows are his tweeted photos of the toes of his young female stars. Y'all, one thing I will tell you right now is people will actually pay money to look at your feet. I did not know that. That was news to me. But I will tell you that that is the truth. So he's just putting it all out there on the internet for free, these children's toes. I mean, it's weird how, like, because you're a director of a show that people play on, that you feel like you have access over that person's body to just be posting pictures of their parts. That is gross and weird. These are children. And who was protecting these children? Their parents were the ones dropping them off at the damn pool party. They had to see these tweets about these. Can you believe somebody recently on this video commented, and I quote, "Leave the parents out of this"? They were bamboozled too by Dan Schneider and manipulated and whatever. The people whose like natural and legal responsibility it is, leave them out of it. Feet. If I saw somebody tweeting, soliciting pictures of children's feet and they were working with children, I might ask some questions. But these parents don't seem to have. I don't know. Maybe they did. I wasn't there. Schneider has been well documented as having temper issues for years. And there's these weird videos too. Like you'll see, like he'll come around with like a, you know, remember the video cameras you used to carry around, like VHS cameras, whatever. He would come around video recording like the stars on the set. It's almost like they would go rigid, like Ariana Grande, like, "Hey, what are you doing here?"
That was amazing. That was one of the better things I've ever heard.
Hey!
Hi, what's going on here?
You cut out that part.
Why are you sitting on the floor of the set?
It's so telling.
They are. Did you just bark?
No. No, I did not.
Must be the set ghost.
Who barked?
The set of Ghost Christmas Past.
That was really scary. Did you hear that? Yeah.
Like it was very obvious that the kids were uncomfortable being around this creep. So the author says, I hear there was a flare up last week. This would have been like around March 2018. During a meeting Dan had with Nickelodeon executives where they indicated to him that Game Shakers was not getting renewed for a 4th season. Sources say that Schneider's reaction was at least in part due to the fact that Game Shakers was about to wrap production on its 3rd season the following day with a cliffhanger season finale, which would leave fans without any closure. So that's allegedly what he was upset about. The author says, I hear at the meeting, Schneider was also told that with his other Nick comedy, Henry Danger, on hiatus, another show would move into the production space in the Nickelodeon-owned Burbank studios, which has housed Schneider's series exclusively for the past few years. Sources say that Schneider objected to the prospect of having to share the office and production space with the non-Schneider's Bakery show. So one could be forgiven for thinking maybe this 4-part docuseries was Nickelodeon's blessing. Because really they came out pretty much smelling like a rose. I mean... They got their plausible deniability in. Then there was even some people that were like, oh, Dan never did any of that to me. It was such a surprise. Then they had told us that there was 41 people writing on the behalf of Brian Peck after what he did to. So it almost makes it seem like, oh, maybe Nickelodeon didn't know.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I think. Definitely. I think that's the point. Well,
I think y'all knew.
Allegedly.
I think y'all knew. But what do I know? I was not there.
Oh, fuck.
There was a little bit of a turf war, but I think they were already like, you have been accused too much and you got to go. After the ousting, after the departure of Dan Schneider from Nickelodeon, the New York Times seems to have attempted to actually rehabilitate Dan Schneider's reputation. Schneider's blog and YouTube channel from when he was Nickelodeon's star showrunner captured the way he would interact with the teenage actors and young fans of the show. He posted a video of him. He looks completely unrecognizable. That don't look like the same person.
The beard and then the no lack of fat.
He looks like that guy from Game of Thrones, Tyrion with the goatee.
He does.
You know what I'm talking about? Lannister. I'm spooking the iCarly actress Miranda Cosgrove as she walked into a room.
Oh my gosh, that is so mean. But it wasn't that good. I didn't get that scared.
You were kind of scared.
I was a little scared.
She's funny.
I hate being scared. Do not jump out and scare me. It will be the only time you ever do. Not you, anybody.
No.
It's not like I was telling you that.
No,
like, this poor girl's nervous system. But some people who worked on Schneider's shows asked for anonymity because they feared that they would be basically retaliated against by him.
She say nice things about me? Because I will tase her if necessary. I have the taser. We haven't had to use it in a long time. But
I said lots of nice things.
Oh, I said nice things about you.
That's gonna get on
Claws.
TV.
It's
That's
giving
gonna get on
CIA
TV.
admissions video. They said they viewed his chumminess with young actors as awkward and odd for a powerful, middle-aged showrunner. I agree completely. Several recalled that he often spent time during the workday interacting with young fans online. And then after work, he would be texting with child actors about silly matters of teenage internet life. Former crew members recalled that Justice's character had a locker on the set of Victorious, decorated with photos of young men, alongside the words "Dudelicious" and "Who's hot." One of the photos was a headshot of a young Dan Schneider, who's definitely not hot.
I loved the thing last night in the documentary, how they showed all those clips of him acting and his like nepotism journey through acting.
And his dad went to Harvard.
Well, yeah, and then all of a sudden magically started.
He had one
playing the fat
role,
kid.
and then he was the head of the class star and co-writer. Okay, I see industry plant when I see one. Wait, what is it? I know industry plant when I see one, but what do I know?
I wasn't there.
I wasn't there.
And there's lots of random stuff in her locker. I'm constantly staring at these pictures, and I'm just kind of confused by her artwork. Fun fact as well, this is
Look at
Dan
the chicken.
Schneider. This is a younger
What do you think
picture
that
of
means?
handsome young Dan.
Schneider said the locker decoration was likely added by someone in the art department and that it was never his goal as a showrunner to be popular or recognized.
She say nice things about me?
False. He was in that hot tub with pubescent Amanda Bynes. He didn't want to be popular. He was having people hand feed him a shrimp. A woman, a escort looking type of model, feeding him a shrimp. He didn't want to be popular. Please shut up. Lie.
Because I will tase her.
Now, I know that's bullshit. I know it for a fact, Dan, because I saw your ass in a hot... Look, past me and right now me agree. Tub with a 12, 14-year-old Amanda Bynes.
Same
So if
thing.
you didn't want to be popular and famous or whatever the bullshit lie you told the New York Times, then you wouldn't have been in that hot tub with a preteen/young teenage girl or anyone else in the hot tub for that matter. As for interacting with fans online, he said that he did so, quote, only in very public ways that were fully transparent to his colleague. Yeah, these creeps tell us out loud what they're doing every damn day. And then when we find them doing it, they go, I did it in front of y'all. Nobody said anything when I was having pool party.
That's funny.
That is literally what his response is on this 4-part docuseries. There was parents on set. Everybody was on set. Nobody said anything. What do you want? Nobody did anything. It's for teenagers at my house. Nope. I don't know why Dan has a country accent, but he does. Just because you were a creep in public doesn't mean you weren't being a creep, you creep. Former crew members also said Schneider seemed to imagine himself as the king of Nick on Sunset, the network's former soundstage. He had a private bathroom next to the one that most of the other staff members had to use. 3 former colleagues recalled occasions when staff members pushed him from one room to another in a roller chair so he could keep working en route. It was like Wall-E 1.0. He didn't stand up to walk around other than to chase kids around with his damn camera. Did he have somebody pushing him around for that? He's disgusting. I'm disgusted by him.
That's
Over the
good.
years, I've grown and matured as a producer and leader, so I guess that means you just don't have to be held responsible or accountable for anything you've ever done. These days, after his 3-year hiatus, Schneider seems set on returning to television and reintroducing his brand of comedy
Looking like
to
a
new
Lannister.
audiences. During a 3-hour interview at the Beverly Hills Hotel, he discussed the state of children's television and his plan to bring forward an ambitious and very different pilot that he has written and sold to another network. I'm assuming it's Disney.
Schneider created iCarly, so I know him really well. That's the thing where I was sort of, I mean, if that went on, that's devastating to me because I don't see him in that light, you know. So watching clips on
I
YouTube
think
for
some of
that
them likes
is
girls and some of
like
them
crazy.
likes
But I mean, the foot fetish. It's like, okay, bro, come on. Like I never really noticed that when I was 15 on the show.
About Dan,
of course,
yeah.
looking in retrospect, it's like, okay,
Same.
okay, all right.
All the pieces fell into place.
all the yeah. I just got 20/20 and knew what was up.
Did he ever ask you to take your shoes off or anything like that? Anything to do with your fit?
No, but I took my shirt off on TV at 10 years old, so I don't know. Maybe.
But Dan Schneider is still back on the scene. In my opinion, total creep, total suspicious vibes. The pool parties and the feet pics alone, just too much for me. Coupled with the obvious discomfort and fear that the young actors that we all know about today demonstrated in the presence of Dan Schneider and his video camera, on top of the fact that he no longer has a job, and I know for a fact he's responsible for making hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more, for Nickelodeon. I cannot see any other reason why he was fired other than misconduct. Now, what the misconduct was, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say it on YouTube, but y'all comment below what your opinion is and what your thought is on Dan Schneider, and we will be back very soon with another PJ Investigates. I mean, holds true today. I didn't see anything in there that I would change.
I thought it was phenomenal. Worth 1.3 million views, to say the least.
To say the least. It also kind of seems like it could be, one could be forgiven for speculating that this 4-part docuseries was a little bit of a response to not only, you know, my YouTube videos about this, but also, you know, Sloane's, Alexa Nicholas, others, many people have made Dan Schneider YouTube videos years before I ever touched the topic. And it's kind of like some people come out smelling like a rose, absolving themselves, acting like victims. And some people take the full brunt of the weight and of the blame. And it's like a lot of people have commented on those videos saying like, what about the parents, or what about the network, or what about the Dan Schneider, what about? There's plenty blame to go around. This is child abuse. There's a lot of people can be blamed more than one.
Yeah, it's not just one person. Usually it takes a village.
It took every single person
to cover up and to make excuses
and to keep writing the script.
Look the other way.
They'll go on a writer's strike whenever they ain't making enough money, but they won't go on a writer's strike for child abuse. Oh, am I getting too close to a nerve? You just let me know. I'm sure you will. In the comments down below.
Allegedly, I think I saw Alexa Nicholas is doing a protest today for Nickelodeon, so
I stand with
plug that. That's my plug for that.
I guess we should try to edit this and get it out today then.
So we'll just do this one. We'll save the CIA for another podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm getting fatigued from watching the screen.
All right, y'all. You'll get the CIA a different time.
Team.
That's all we really have for today.
In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Love you, mean it, K-Bye.
I think you act like you're insane. Cortisol levels to the roof, inflame. Kids these days so shameless. Selling our real friends for a paycheck. I'm a didn't teach that no home training. Wanna be me so bad, but they failing. And you should have a name out your mouth. I see how it all turned out. When you try to use my name for clout, keep on going. Any song you could talk about. Throwing all the good vibes out the window. Things so low, so now you come hold my cup. Please, a squirrel is acting up. Seriously though, do you think it's a medical condition? She's really acting up. Maybe it's a demon. She really acting up. Dang right. Step to the plate though, I'll take a challenger. I ain't scared of no low life scavenger. I should warn you though, if you haven't heard, I ain't no Colleen, ukulele ballager. Shots been fired. Wanna tell that, say it to my face though. Now behind my back, won't be long till you share it in a group chat. And when I call you up, you're gonna backtrack. And you should have a name out your mouth. I see how it all turned out. When you try to use my name for clout, keep on going. Any song you could talk about. Throwing all the good vibes out the window. Seems so low, so now you come hold my cup. Please, a squirrel is acting up. Seriously though, do you think it's a medical condition? She's really acting up. Maybe it's a demon. She really acting up. Dang right.